My mother-in-law handed me a special dinner box. My husband raged when I threw it away, but my revenge left them speechless. For a while, I believed I had a picture-perfect life. Suburban home outside Denver. A husband who worked hard but came home on time. 2 healthy little girls who adored bedtime stories and grilled cheese sandwiches. And in the early days, even a mother-in-law who smiled through tightly clenched teeth. My name is Lauren. I'm 29, a full-time mom to 2 girls under 7 and married to Jake, a software developer who thinks rebooting can fix anything, including his mother. We live outside Denver in a modest but cheerful ranch-style home with a trampoline in the yard and finger paintings on the refrigerator. From the outside, it probably looks like we have it all. And honestly, I used to think we did, until Margaret started offering to help. Margaret is Jake's mother. To most people, she comes across as elegant, warm, a pillar of grace in a cashmere sweater. And for the first year of our marriage, I tried to see her that way too. But it's what people do when no one's watching that tells the truth. And Margaret has a way of weaponizing kindness. I remember the first meal she ever served me at their house in Boulder. Jake got a prime rib with herb butter. His father, Robert, got grilled lobster tail. I got steamed broccoli and a clear broth that smelled faintly of dishwater. "You're watching your figure, right?" Margaret had said, smiling like a photo in a church newsletter. I hadn't said anything about my weight ever, but I smiled and thanked her. That moment set the tone for every visit after. The little things started piling up. If she made hot chocolate for the girls, mine would be accidentally forgotten. If she handed out pralines at Thanksgiving, I'd get a different wrapper, an off-brand or one with lint on it. She would say things like, "It must be so hard staying home, but at least the kids have someone around." Always with that same smile. Jake never noticed, or didn't want to. "She means well," he'd say every single time. "That's just how she shows love." Love. Like the time she gifted me a cookbook titled Easy Recipes for the Kitchen Impaired. Or when she posted a photo of her 3 favorite people at our daughter's dance recital, Jake, Robert, and the little ballerina, cropping me out completely. Still, I told myself I could handle it. She didn't live with us. Jake was on my side, even if he didn't fully see it. And then came the chocolate incident that changed everything. It was late summer. We had taken the girls to Boulder to visit for a long weekend. One afternoon, while Jake ran errands with his dad and the kids napped upstairs, Margaret appeared at the sliding door holding a delicate china plate. "I brought you something sweet," she said. "These are Swiss truffles, a treat for a tired mama." I hesitated. The chocolates were oddly matte. One had a slightly crushed corner, but I took one, thanked her, and popped it into my mouth. It crunched. Chocolates aren't supposed to crunch. The taste was dusty bitter, with a grainy texture that clung to my tongue like sand. "Yours is special," Margaret said, watching me too closely. "I saved that one just for you." Something in her tone made my stomach turn. "I'll save the rest for later," I murmured, wrapping the remaining truffles in a napkin. Margaret didn't object. An hour later, the cramps hit. Sharp, stabbing pain bloomed in my abdomen. I barely made it to the downstairs bathroom before collapsing to the tile floor, shaking and nauseous. Jake found me 30 minutes later, pale and clammy. "You okay?" "Something I ate," I muttered. He helped me upstairs, brought me ginger ale, tucked the girls in. I didn't mention the chocolate. Not yet. The next morning, while taking out the trash, I spotted something odd in the kitchen bin, a crumpled candy wrapper, silver foil with old-fashioned lettering. The brand wasn't familiar. I pulled it out with a paper towel and flattened it against the counter. Godiva. Best Buy, March 2015. It was 2025. I stared at the date for a full minute, my throat dry. Margaret hadn't just handed me an expired chocolate. She'd given me one that expired 10 years ago. I kept the wrapper, slipped it into the pocket of my jeans. I didn't know what to do with it, but throwing it out felt wrong. That night, after the kids were asleep, I told Jake. He squinted at the wrapper. "She probably didn't realize," he said. "It's not like she checks dates on everything." "Jake," I said slowly. "It wasn't just expired. It was ancient. It crunched. She said it was just for me." He looked uncomfortable. "Are you saying she did it on purpose?" I stared at him. "Do you think she didn't?" The doubt in his eyes told me everything I needed to know about the battle ahead. Look, even if she did, what are you going to do? Accuse her? She'll say it was a mistake and then we'll have drama for months, Jake said, rubbing his temples. I swallowed my anger. She's been doing things like this for years, Jake. This wasn't an accident. Lauren, I love you, but you're turning this into something it might not be. I didn't reply. The next morning, I called my sister. Emma is 3 years younger than me, lives in Phoenix, and works in cybersecurity. We talk often, but I hadn't told her about the chocolate incident yet. I told her everything this time. There was a long silence when I finished. Then you need to set up cameras. What? Hidden ones. Cheap, easy to use. You're going back to her house sometime, right? She's invited us to Vail for a long weekend in 3 weeks. Rental cabin. Perfect. Emma, this isn't some spy thriller. Maybe not, but if she's really doing what you think she is, you need proof. Especially if Jake's still in denial. She was right. And I hated that she was right. 4 days later, a small package arrived at our house. Inside, 6 button-sized cameras, a portable router, and a note in Emma's handwriting, "Don't wait for another chocolate. Record everything." I stared at the gear in my hands. Then I packed them in my overnight bag, just in case. That evening, Jake came home excited. Mom says the Vail place has 3 bedrooms and a mountain view. She even hired a private chef for Saturday night. Of course she did. He blinked. What's that supposed to mean? I smiled thinly. Nothing. But in my mind, I wasn't packing ski clothes anymore. I was packing evidence. Vail in October was crisp and beautiful, wrapped in golden aspen leaves and mountain air. The cabin Margaret had rented sat nestled among pine trees with a winding stone path, 2 decks, and 1 shared kitchen. She greeted us on the porch in a cream wool coat and silk scarf, the picture of mountain elegance. Her husband Robert stood behind her with a neutral nod and a coffee mug in hand. "It's so wonderful to see you all," she cooed, reaching to hug the girls before touching my arm. "Lauren, you look well rested." I smiled tightly. "Thanks. So do you." The first night passed without major incident. Dinner was simple: roast beef, mashed potatoes, green beans. Margaret served everyone's plate except mine, which she handed to me last. A beat too late, a beat too intentionally. Mine had no gravy, no butter on the potatoes, mostly steamed vegetables. I didn't say anything. Later that night, I began setting my trap. After everyone went to bed, I opened my overnight bag in silence and pulled out the small pouch of equipment Emma had sent. 6 cameras, wireless transmitters, a pocket router, instructions I'd already memorized. I waited until the cabin was completely quiet. Then I moved. Camera 1, mounted in the kitchen cabinet corner facing the prep counter. Camera 2, tucked above the refrigerator, angled at the sink and trash. Camera 3, disguised as a decorative hook in the hallway facing Margaret's room. Camera 4, hidden in a pinecone centerpiece on the dining table. Camera 5, inside our bedroom, just in case. Camera 6, positioned near the front door to catch any suspicious activity. Everything synced to the cloud and to my laptop, which I kept locked in our closet. By 2 a.m., the cabin was quiet again, and my surveillance network was live. The next morning, Margaret was already humming in the kitchen when I walked in. "Good morning," she chirped. "I let you sleep in." Jake was outside with the girls, helping them collect colorful leaves. Margaret poured me coffee before I asked for any. I was thinking we could have a special lunch together, just the adults. I ordered something extraordinary from a gourmet shop in town. "That's thoughtful of you," I said, pretending to sip. She opened an elegant white box, revealing a beautiful arrangement of sushi rolls and delicate sides. "I picked this up from Sakura, very exclusive, imported ingredients. You deserve something special." She placed it in the refrigerator, clearly labeled, "Lauren's special order." I knew better than to ask if anyone else was getting sushi. That afternoon, when the girls napped and Jake joined his dad for a hike, I slipped back into the bedroom and opened my laptop. I pulled up the kitchen footage, scrubbing backward until I found the right timestamp. 11:15 a.m. Margaret alone in the kitchen, latex gloves on. She opened a small container from her purse. Something dark and moving inside. I zoomed in, my stomach lurching. A live spider, black, about the size of a quarter. My hands trembled as I watched her reach in with tweezers, lift the arachnid carefully, and nestle it into the center of a sushi roll like she was placing a precious gem. She covered it with wasabi and ginger, smoothed the presentation, then smiled at her handiwork. I paused the video, closed the laptop, and sat on the floor. I had thought she might try something again. I had prepared for more expired food, maybe a mild allergen, a strand of hair in the sauce. Not this. This was calculated, deliberate, cruel. She wanted me to bite down on it. She wanted me to scream, to create a scene that would make me look unstable while she played the innocent victim. But I had her now. On camera. In high definition. From multiple angles. The hunter had become the hunted, and Margaret had no idea what was coming. At dinner that evening, Margaret announced her grand finale with theatrical flair. "I've arranged something truly special for our last night here," she said, placing an elegant hand over her heart. "Gourmet dinner boxes from Sakura, the same place I got Lauren's sushi today. I ordered one for each of us." She turned toward me, eyes gleaming. "But yours is completely custom, dear. I told them to make it extra delicate, perfect for your refined tastes." "Of course it is," I murmured. Jake smiled absently, cutting chicken nuggets for our youngest. "She says they cost nearly $800 total. Mom's really outdoing herself." Robert didn't look up from his wine. After the kids went to bed, Jake found me brushing my teeth in the bathroom. "You seem tense," he said. "Everything okay?" I met his eyes in the mirror. "Do you believe me now?" He looked confused. "About what?" I opened the medicine cabinet, pulled out the flash drive where I'd saved the footage, and held it out. "Watch this. Before dinner tomorrow." But he didn't. He said he was tired. Said I was being paranoid again. That his mom had been trying so hard lately to make this trip special. So I waited. The next day, just before dinner, Margaret entered the living room carrying an ornate wooden tray. One by one, she placed the boxes on the dining table, each tied with silk ribbon and labeled in perfect calligraphy: Jake, Robert, Sophia, Emma, our daughters, Lauren. She handed me mine personally, her fingers lingering on the ribbon. "I asked them to make yours extra delicate," she said, her voice honey-sweet. "You always were a little sensitive to strong flavors." I took it, didn't open it. "Go on," she urged, her eyes bright with anticipation. "Try it. I want to see your face." I smiled. "So do I." I stood, walked to the trash can, opened the lid, and dropped the entire box in. Margaret froze. Jake jerked around in his seat. "What the hell are you doing?" he said. "That was $160, Lauren." Robert put down his fork, silent but watchful. Margaret's voice pitched higher, cracking slightly. "That was made especially for you." I walked out of the room and returned with my laptop. "Let me show you what was made especially for me." The moment of truth had arrived, and Margaret's perfect mask was about to slip forever. I set the laptop on the dining table right beside Margaret's delicate crystal wine glass. My fingers were steady now, steadier than they'd been in years. Jake frowned. "Lauren, what's going on?" "You'll see." I clicked play. The screen lit up with crystal-clear footage of the kitchen. The camera caught Margaret's profile as she closed the door behind her, slipped on latex gloves, and reached into her designer handbag. She lifted out a small plastic container, clicked it open, and produced a pair of silver tweezers. On screen, the spider writhed, its legs kicking frantically. Gasps echoed around the table. My oldest daughter covered her eyes. Jake muttered, "Oh my God." And then came the part that made my blood run cold. Margaret smiling serenely as she nestled the spider into the sushi roll, covering it with wasabi and pickled ginger, smoothing it down like she was decorating a wedding cake. I froze the frame on her satisfied smile. The dining room fell silent except for the mountain wind outside. Margaret was the first to break. "This is ridiculous," she said, her cultured voice sharp and brittle. "That footage could be from anywhere. Someone edited it." "Really?" I tilted my head. "Edited from 4 different angles with matching timestamps." I pulled up the second camera, positioned over the refrigerator. This one showed her side profile in perfect detail, the tweezers, the spider, the box with my name written in elegant script. Jake pushed back from the table, so suddenly his chair scraped against the hardwood floor. Mom, no. Please tell me this isn't what it looks like. Margaret's lips pressed into a thin line. For a moment, I thought she might continue lying, might try to gaslight us all one more time. But something inside her snapped. Her composed facade cracked like ice on a frozen pond, and what emerged was raw, ugly hatred. She doesn't belong here, Margaret hissed, jabbing a manicured finger at me. She's never belonged. Robert finally spoke, his voice calm but steel-edged. Margaret. She poisoned you. Margaret spat at Jake, ignoring her husband completely. From the moment you brought her home, she took you from me. Made you forget who sacrificed everything to raise you, who gave up her career, her dreams. That doesn't give you the right, Jake started. Margaret slammed her palm on the table. The wine glasses rattled. I gave you life. And she thinks she can waltz in here with her college degree and her smug little smile and act like she's better than me. The girls whimpered, clinging to Jake's sides. My chest ached watching them shake, but I forced myself to stay steady. Gone how, Margaret? I asked quietly. By slowly poisoning me? By trying to make me so sick I'd walk away from my own family. She sneered, and for the first time, her true face was fully visible, twisted with years of resentment and jealousy. If you were smart, you would have left already. But you're too stubborn. You always had to prove me wrong. The room erupted in consequences that would change everything. Robert rose from his chair, his usually gentle face thunderous. You tried to poison the mother of my granddaughters, he said, each word measured and final. You endangered children who could have accidentally eaten from that box. You've disgraced this family beyond repair. Margaret blinked as if slapped. Robert. His voice cracked like a judge's gavel. Enough. He turned to Jake. Take Lauren and the girls. Drive back to Denver tonight. I'll handle this. Jake nodded wordlessly, already gathering our daughters into his arms. Margaret screamed then, a shrill, desperate sound that echoed through the mountain cabin. Don't you dare walk away from me, Jacob. I am your mother. But Jake didn't turn back. Not once. We packed in silence. By midnight, we were driving down the mountain highway, the girls asleep in their car seats. Jake drove with white knuckles gripping the steering wheel. Finally, he whispered, I'm sorry. I stared out at the dark Colorado landscape rushing past. You should be. I didn't want to see it. I kept telling myself she just meant well, that she was trying to help in her own way. She doesn't mean well, Jake. She means harm. He swallowed hard. I'll never let her near you or the kids again. I swear it. For the first time in years, I believed him. The next morning, I walked into the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office with a flash drive in my hand. The detective reviewed the footage twice. Ma'am, this qualifies as attempted poisoning and criminal endangerment. Are you pressing charges? Yes, I said simply. Within a week, a restraining order was in place. Margaret could not contact us, approach the children, or step foot on our property. But of course she tried anyway, blocked calls at midnight, emails from fake accounts, handwritten letters with no return address. The messages alternated between saccharine apologies and venomous threats. I filed every single one. Then Robert called. He sounded weary but resolute. I've filed for divorce. Margaret is. She's unraveling completely. She's convinced the house is bugged, that neighbors are spying on her. She hasn't been rational for months. Lauren, I should have stepped in sooner. I closed my eyes, relief and sorrow mixing inside me. I'm sorry, Robert. Don't be, he said. You did what none of us had the courage to do. You exposed her. 3 months later, I was at King Soopers when my phone buzzed. Blocked number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Lauren. Margaret's voice was thin, rasping. Thank God you picked up. I didn't reply. I have nothing, she whimpered. Robert's gone. I can't make rent. I can't buy groceries. Please, please, I didn't mean for it to go so far. Still, I said nothing. You're a mother, she sobbed. You know what it's like to sacrifice everything. I only did it because I loved him so much. I couldn't bear to lose him. Please don't let me starve." I drew a slow, steady breath. "You wanted me gone," I said quietly. "Now you are. Lauren, please. If you're hungry," I cut in coldly, "maybe try eating what you served me." And then I hung up. When I got home, Jake was sitting on our front porch, watching the girls play hopscotch on the driveway. He looked up as I approached. "Everything okay?" he asked. I smiled, really smiled, for the first time in months. "Better than okay." Because in that moment, with the Colorado sun warm on my face and my children's laughter filling the air, I realized something profound. We were finally free. Not just because Margaret was gone, but because her power over us, over me, was gone forever. And sometimes, the sweetest revenge is simply living well, surrounded by people who truly love you. The nightmare was over. Our real life could finally begin.